What's going on with ya, big dog? And it is an amazing day for Yu-Gi-Oh! I hope that your day, phenomenal. But if it isn't, don't let what happened at the beginning of your day ruin the rest of your day. Today, me and chat are going to be talking to you guys about the new Fire King strategy that is coming out in Master Duel and everything you need to know about this powerful deck. Let's go ahead and jump on in. Fortunately enough, it's going to be a little bit different in Master Duel than it will be in the TCG, as both Snake Eyes Ash and Wanted are limited to one. I think that this is really good because it promotes Fire King being Fire King, and I think that a pure version can be very powerful in the game. If you guys wanted to know, I just so happen to have made a video on it on the main channel using 3 of the Fire King structure decks to make it strong. So you'll be able to take that and get all of the information you need for Fire Kings, and then you can mix whatever cards you want. But let's break down the Fire King strategy. Fire Kings are based on being able to destroy themselves, and on the next turn, you are going to get effects. Now, a cool thing about the Fire King cards is that their effects are mandatory. This means that you must get these effects on the next turn. So if you were ever playing Paper Yu-Gi-Oh! And you forget these effects, well, you gotta fix that. It will be a warning, but at least you get your effects. Another cool thing about these card effects is that they are incredibly dangerous, seeing that they're on the next turn. I'm going to be breaking down the Fire King cards that you mostly will play, and then talk about some of the other Fire King cards that some people play, but aren't necessary. The best card in the deck is Sacred Fire King Garunix, or one of the best cards. Sacred Fire King Garunix basically says if a fire monster was destroyed by battle or card effect, you can summon this card from your hand or the graveyard. But the best thing about this is that it allows you to be able to destroy a fire monster from the deck, and then it can gain half of its attack. This card is incredibly good because it doesn't need to see the card being destroyed in order to be able to get its effect. Take, for example, you're using the effect of your Fire King Island to destroy a fire monster in your hand or field. If you add Garunix to your hand, you can summon it to your side of the field. It also allows you to be able to get some really important effects of your Fire King cards. A lot of pure builds run 1 to 2 copies. I think 2 copies is really, really good. Fire King High Avatar Kirin is probably the best Fire King card in the entire deck, guys. It's crazy good. Fire King High Avatar Garunix has a quick effect to be able to destroy fire monsters on your field or hand. This means that if your opponent was using a card like Effect Veiler on one of your monsters, you can chain the effect of Fire King Kirin to destroy your monster, gain that effect, and still summon this card. Kirin also has another amazing ability that allows you to be able to special summon a fire monster from your graveyard to your side of the field, and then destroy a card on the field. It doesn't target. This card is completely bonkers, and is one of the main reasons why the deck is so powerful. If you guys are mixing this with Snake Eyes still, you would typically play 1 Garunix, 2 Kirin, and a couple of Ponixes. That's pretty much it. But in a more pure build, Fire King High Avatar Kirin is a 3-of. This card is completely bonkers. Fire King Avatar Arvanta is another one of the best cards in the deck. Not only does it allow you to negate monster effects by destroying a fire monster in your hand or field, when it's destroyed, it also allows you to special summon fire monsters from your graveyard. As you can see, these 3 cards are some of the most important Fire King cards in the entire deck. Whether you are playing a pure build or you are mixing it with a build, consider playing Garunix and Avatar in every single one, and depending on how many normal summons you need, Kirin is your go-to card to be able to get you recursion. The card is mad good in pure builds and is a must-play at 3 inside of those builds. Fire King Avatar Barong is also crazy. When it's destroyed during the next standby phase, it allows you to search a Fire King card. This is ridiculous, as your normal combo line allows you to destroy this card from your deck and then search cards like Fire King High Avatar Kirin to be able to play on your opponent's turn or search follow-up. This card is only needed at 1 though. You don't need it any more times because it's really easy to summon back to your side of the field and redestroy after you already have it online. Now, there is going to be a new Fire King card. Well, not a new one. There is a new Fire King card possibly, but I want to actually talk about Fire King Avatar Rank Bali. If you are playing a non-pure build, you do not run this card. But if you're playing a pure build, you can consider playing one. This card says if a face-up Fire King card is destroyed by a card effect, you can special summon this card from your hand. Then, when a spell or trap card is activated, you can negate the activation and destroy a fire monster. Serang Bali allows you to negate spells and traps, and Arvata allows you to negate monster effects. Now, there is something really important that I need to tell you about Rang Bali. If you're using the effect of Rang Bali, you can't use other effects at the same time. How do I say this? Tamaya said it right. Only one hand trigger can occur in the same chain. So, there you have it. This card will, I think that's the best way to say it. This card will conflict with other hand summon effects at times, but overall is a really good card at stopping your opponent's spells and traps. The new Fire King card I want to talk to you guys about is Fire King Consort Garunix. Garunix is a card that we more than likely will get inside of the selection pack that the TCG doesn't yet have. If this card is normal summon or special summon, you can destroy one fire monster in your hand or face up on the field. And if you do, add one fire, beast warrior, winged beast, or beast monster from your deck to your hand. Then you can make this card's level becomes that level. If it's destroyed, you can special summon one Fire King High Avatar Garunix from your deck in defense position. Now, I didn't mention Fire King High Avatar Garunix because this card is typically not played in any build available. And the reason why is because while Garunix can destroy all cards on the field and can special summon Fire King monsters from your deck, it just never seemed to be a card that players would use. But with the new Garunix, you can consider playing Garunix alongside your Fire King High Avatar Garunix simply because it does give you extension and more destruction for this deck. The last Fire King main deck monster I want to talk to you about is the best monster in the deck. Legendary Fire King Ponix, the Chicken Nugget. The Chicken Nugget is really good. It says if any of your monsters that were originally fire were destroyed, you can special summon this card from your hand. Now keep in mind, if you have Legendary Fire King Ponix in your hand and Rang Bali in your hand, you will not be able to summon both. You can only summon one, either or. And Ponix typically is the card you may want to summon, because when it is summoned, you get to add one Fire King spell or trap card from your deck to your hand. Also, if this card was ever destroyed during the next turn, you get to add this card to your hand. So it's a level 1 normal summon that recurs itself back to the hand and keeps getting you more resources. Legendary Fire King Ponix is a crazy good Yu-Gi-Oh card. I absolutely love it. Now, as you guys can see, the theme of this deck is destroying your own fire cards and gaining some powerful resources on the side. Fortunately enough, this deck has multiple ways to be able to destroy resources. Let's talk about those spell cards that are incredibly good. Fire King Island allows you to once per turn either destroy a fire monster in your hand to add a fire monster to your hand, or a Fire King monster to your hand, or if you control no monsters, special summon one Fire Winged Beast. A lot of times you're going to be using that effect to destroy the search, but you also have to keep in mind it has another deadly effect you can use to your advantage. If Island is ever destroyed, you destroy all monsters on your field. Now, normally that may seem really bad, but when you combine that with the fact that Fire King monsters want to be destroyed, it ain't that bad now, is it? I think that Fire King Island is an incredible Yu-Gi-Oh card. It is the main card. Fortunately enough, you only need 2 because of the new spell card in Fire King Sanctuary. Sanctuary is also an amazing card because when it's activated, you get to place Fire King Island to your spell or to your field zone. Keep in mind, Fire King Island being placed to your field zone is not an activation. So either they stop the Sanctuary or they're going to get clapped up. Furthermore, if your opponent wanted to destroy Fire King Island with a card like Twin Twisters, you can destroy a fire monster in your hand or field instead. The next best thing about Fire King Sanctuary is that if your opponent is going to special summon a monster, you can Exceed summon into a Fire Exceed using Fire King monsters you control. Now, typically, players would probably look for all other Fire Exceed monsters that they can. And there's a couple of good ones, but the best one still right now is the new Garunix Eternity Hyang of Fire Kings. This card is Exceed summon that allows you to destroy all other monsters on the field. So it is a walking dark hole, and because of Fire King Sanctuary, you could do it on your opponent's turn. It also says detach one material from this card to destroy a spell or trap card on the field. So it's also technically a walking tornado dragon. And this card will gain 500 attack. And then also if this card is destroyed while it has material, you can summon Fire King monsters from your graveyard up to the number of material it has. So even if your opponent does stop Fire King Eternity Hyanga Fire Kings, it means that they're going to have to deal with the consequences of this monster coming back or other monsters coming back. Also, because of your Fire King Sanctuary, being able to Exceed summon this on your opponent's turns means you get to wipe their board before they make their critical plays. There's just 2 more cards that I want to talk to you about that are ultra important. One is Circle of the Fire Kings. This destroys a fire monster in your field to summon a fire monster in your graveyard. A lot of people may not think that that's really important, but when you can use it to dodge cards like Infinite Impermanence and Effect Veiler, or use it in the battle phase to get another free body and trigger your Fire King monsters too, it's incredibly good. There's also Fire King Skyburn, which allows you to destroy Fire King monsters you control and cards on your opponent's side of the field. But also, if Fire King monsters will be destroyed, you can banish this card instead. This means that even if you summon Garunix Eternity and you want to destroy all monsters on the field, you can banish your Fire King Skyburn in your graveyard to protect your monsters while your opponent loses all of theirs. Now, I would love to go into detail about the other Fire King cards like Echelon of the Fire Kings, Fire King Avatar Kirin, and to be honest with you, I'm not even going to lie, even Yaksha is not really that good. Those are the additional Fire King cards that you don't really want to play. With that being said, I'm going to go ahead and open it up to chat, and they're going to ask me questions about Fire Kings, and I'll ask them. If you guys have any questions, go ahead and let me know down below in the comment section. Tamias will answer them. Now I'll try to answer them too. Do I need the Diabell Star engine? For this version of Fire Kings that seems to be presented in Master Duel, I think you don't need the Diabell Star engine. I actually think that the Snake Eyes engine will be a strong engine in the deck, but not something you need for the deck to be competitive for Master Duel. Will Cosmic Cyclone be in the meta soon? Cosmic Cyclone is an excellent counter to Fire Kings because it bypasses Fire King Sanctuary and removes the island. Using this card in response to your opponent activating island is really, really good, so consider it. Is Evenly Matched a good card to play against this deck? This deck doesn't offer any natural ways to be able to stop spell and trap cards outside of Ring Bali. So Evenly Matched could be a fairly powerful card. But remember, they can oftentimes destroy fire monsters in their hand too. So sometimes Evenly will not bail you out. Would Cash Fire King be competitive? Go home, bro. In theory, the Cash Tira cards work with anything though. The only conflict would be the field spell of Cash Tira and the field spell of your Fire King. You don't want to have your Fire King field spell and needing to play the Cash field spell. And before someone plays the Cash field spell over the Fire King Island and wipes their own field. Hey, yo! Silent Fire King would be a great variant. I think right now when you put fire cards together, they seem to work out. I mean to say, would Fire King and Volcanic work well together? I think that's exactly... I'm not going to say that they can't work. I think it would probably be a little better to stick to a Pure or a Snake Eyes or maybe even a Tri-Brigade version. But inherently, because fire cards work good with fire cards, they're not going to conflict as much as long as you get your normal summons down. How would you rank the different variations of Fire King? Is Pure Fire King the best? I would probably say right now on face value, Pure and Tri-Brigade may have a significant edge over Snake Eyes, strictly because Snake Eyes Ash is at 1 alongside of Wanted. After that, it would go the Snake Eyes variant, and then everything else. I'm not sure if everything else will be as good as the Snake Eyes, Pure, or Tri-Brigade. I think those are our best valuable versions. Fire King Ice Jade. Yep, I think we're done here. And that's all that I have for everything you need to know about Fire King, guys. Of course, if you want to see more amazing Master Duel content, go ahead and check out these other videos, and I can't wait to show you Fire Kings in action.